Nobody taught us this. Not our mothers, not our teachers, not the world we grew up in. Nobody told us that there's a kind of energy inside a woman, a quiet, powerful energy that can shift everything. How she's treated, how she feels when she wakes up in the morning, how love finds her instead of running from her. It's called magnetic feminine energy. And here's what breaks my heart: most women are walking through life with this power sleeping inside them. Dormant. Forgotten. Buried under years of exhaustion, heartbreak, and trying too hard for people who never tried for them. You've done everything right. You've been patient. You've been kind. You've given more than you've ever received. And still, something feels off. Something feels missing. What if I told you that the missing piece isn't something you need to find outside yourself? What if it's already inside you, just waiting to be awakened? Today, we're waking it up. Together. Before I share these 7 signs with you, I need you to understand why this matters so much. Because this isn't about becoming more attractive to men. This isn't about performing for the world. This isn't about being liked by everyone. This is about something much deeper. You see, when a woman's feminine energy is magnetic, her whole life shifts. She stops chasing. She starts attracting. She stops explaining herself. She starts trusting herself. She stops fighting for crumbs of love. She starts receiving real love from others, and most importantly, from herself. And here's what nobody tells you: this kind of energy doesn't just change how others treat you. It changes how you feel when you're alone. It changes how you sleep at night. It changes the quality of your thoughts, your peace, your hope for the future. Think about it. When you're constantly running, constantly proving, constantly worried about what others think, how does that feel in your body? Exhausting. Heavy. Like carrying a weight that was never yours to carry. But when you're grounded in your feminine energy, when you're magnetic, you feel light. You feel at home in your own skin. You feel like yourself. And that feeling, my dear, is not a luxury. It's your birthright. I believe that every woman deserves to feel magnetic, not for the world, for herself. Because when you feel magnetic, you make better decisions. You choose better partners. You raise healthier children. You build a life that actually feels good, not just looks good. And for women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, this becomes even more important. You've already lived. You've already experienced disappointment, heartbreak, maybe even betrayal. You've carried responsibilities that nobody thanked you for. You've given pieces of yourself to jobs, families, relationships. Now is the time to gather those pieces back. Now is the time to remember who you are at your core. Not the version of you that was shaped by other people's expectations, the real you, the magnetic you, the version of you that the world needs to see. That's why this matters. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 signs that your feminine energy is magnetic. And I want to be clear, these aren't signs that you either have or don't have. That's not how this works. Think of these as mirrors. Each one will help you see yourself more clearly. Each one will show you where you're already glowing and where you might want to grow. By the end of this video, you'll understand what magnetic feminine energy really looks like in everyday life. You'll recognize the habits, the mindsets, the quiet choices that create this kind of energy. And more than that, you'll walk away with practical things you can do starting today to strengthen your own magnetic presence, not fake confidence, not performance, not pretending to be someone you're not. Real, grounded, beautiful magnetism that comes from the inside out. Are you ready? Let's begin. Sign number 1, you don't chase, you attract. Let me start with why this matters. In our world, we've been taught that if you want something, you have to go get it. You have to hustle. You have to push. You have to fight. And in some areas of life, that's true. Career goals, education, building something new, yes, effort is required. But when it comes to love, connection, and relationships, chasing often pushes away the very thing you want. Here's the truth that changed my understanding of feminine energy. Chasing comes from fear. Attracting comes from wholeness. When you chase someone, whether it's a man, a friend, or even approval from family, you're sending a message to the universe and to yourself. That message is, I am not enough as I am. I need this person to complete me. I need their attention to feel worthy, and people can sense that energy. They may not be able to name it, but they feel it. But when you attract, you're sending a completely different message. You're saying, I am already whole. I am already valuable. I am open to love, but I am not desperate for it. I have a full life, and I'm inviting the right people to join me in it. That energy is irresistible, not because it's playing a game, but because it's authentic. Let me tell you about a woman I know. Let's call her Grace. Grace is 43 years old. She was divorced at 38 after a marriage that slowly drained her. Her husband wasn't a bad person, but he never really saw her. She spent 15 years trying to be good enough for him, cooking perfect meals, keeping a perfect home, never complaining. But nothing she did made him love her the way she needed to be loved. After the divorce, Grace did something unexpected. Instead of immediately jumping into dating, she took a year off. She called it her becoming year. She focused on healing. She started therapy. She reconnected with old friends. She picked up painting again, something she loved in college but abandoned. She traveled alone for the first time in her life, and something shifted. She stopped looking for love in every man she met. She stopped analyzing every interaction, wondering, is he the one? She became genuinely content, not perfectly happy. Life still had hard days, but content, peaceful. And then, without searching, love found her. She met someone at an art exhibition. He noticed her not because she was trying to be noticed, but because she was fully present, fully engaged with the art, fully herself. That's attraction. That's magnetism. So what can you do to cultivate this energy in your own life? First, ask yourself honestly, where am I chasing right now? Maybe you're texting someone more than they text you. Maybe you're always the one making plans. Maybe you're giving more than you're receiving in a friendship. Maybe you're constantly seeking approval from a family member who never gives it. Notice the chasing. Don't judge yourself for it. We've all done it. Just notice. Second, redirect that energy toward yourself. Every time you feel the urge to chase, ask, what would happen if I invested this energy in me instead? What if the hour you spend waiting for his text, you spent reading a book that nourishes your mind? What if the emotional energy you use worrying about what she thinks of you, you use to plan something beautiful for your own life? Third, practice what I call open-handed living. Imagine holding your desires with open hands instead of clenched fists. When you clench, you hold on too tight. When you open your hands, you allow things to come and go freely. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you trust. You trust that what's meant for you will find you. And what's not meant for you can leave without destroying you. A woman with magnetic feminine energy doesn't chase, because she knows her worth doesn't depend on catching anything or anyone. She attracts because she is full, grounded, and at peace. Sign number 2, your peace is unshakable. Now, I want to be very careful here because I don't want you to misunderstand this sign. Having unshakable peace doesn't mean you never feel upset. It doesn't mean you're emotionless. It doesn't mean life never gets hard. What it means is this: you have a deep center, a quiet place inside you that remains calm even when everything around you is chaotic. Think of a lake. On the surface, there might be waves. Wind might create ripples. Sometimes storms come, but deep beneath the surface, the water is still, quiet, undisturbed. A woman with magnetic feminine energy is like that lake. She feels things deeply. That's part of her feminine nature. She experiences sadness, frustration, even anger. But she doesn't let those emotions throw her completely off course. She doesn't let other people's chaos become her chaos. Why does this matter so much? Because peace is one of the most attractive qualities a human being can have. When you are around someone who is peaceful, you feel safe. You feel calm. Their energy settles you. But when you're around someone who is constantly reactive, constantly anxious, constantly drama, how does that feel? Exhausting. Unsettling. Like walking on eggshells. And here's something important for women over 30 to understand. By this point in life, you've probably experienced enough chaos, enough drama, enough storms that weren't even yours to weather. You've earned your peace. It's time to protect it. Let me share another story. There's a woman named Adaze. She's 51, a mother of 3 grown children, and a grandmother to a little girl named Joy. Adaze's life has not been easy. She lost her husband unexpectedly 10 years ago. She raised her children mostly alone. Her family had financial struggles. One of her sons went through a very difficult period with addiction. By all accounts, Adaze had every reason to be bitter, anxious, broken. But when you meet her, that's not what you experience. You experience warmth, calm, a woman who has been through fire and come out refined, not destroyed. People constantly ask her, "How are you so peaceful? How do you stay so calm?" And her answer is always the same. "I learned that I cannot control what happens to me, but I can control what happens in me." She made a decision somewhere along the way to stop giving her peace away, to stop letting every problem steal her joy, to stop reacting to everything as if it were an emergency. That decision didn't make her life perfect, but it made her life livable. It made her a safe place for her children and grandchildren. It made her someone people wanted to be around. That's magnetic. So how do you build this kind of unshakable peace? First, you have to understand that peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of inner stability despite problems. Stop waiting for life to get easier before you feel peaceful. Choose peace now, in the middle of the mess. Second, become very protective of what you allow into your mind and heart. What are you consuming every day? What news are you watching? What conversations are you having? Who are you spending time with? If your inputs are mostly negative, chaotic, and draining, your internal state will reflect that. You cannot watch drama all day and expect to feel peaceful. Guard your inputs. Choose things that nourish your peace. Third, develop a daily practice that anchors you. This could be prayer. This could be meditation. This could be journaling. This could be a morning walk in nature. This could be simply sitting in silence for 10 minutes before the day begins. Find something that brings you back to your center and do it consistently. A woman with magnetic feminine energy protects her peace like the treasure it is. She knows that her peace affects everyone around her, her children, her partner, her friends, even strangers. She doesn't give that power away cheaply. Sign number 3, you speak with soft power. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of feminine energy, so let me explain carefully. Soft power is not weakness. It's not being passive. It's not letting people walk all over you. Soft power is the ability to influence, command respect, and express yourself without aggression, without harshness, without losing your grace. It's strength wrapped in gentleness. It's firmness delivered with warmth. And it is incredibly magnetic. Why? Because anyone can yell. Anyone can be harsh. Anyone can tear someone down with words. But it takes a truly powerful woman to speak truth with kindness, to hold her ground without losing her composure, to say no without cruelty, to give feedback without attacking. In our world, we often confuse loudness with strength. We think the person who shouts the most wins. But true influence rarely works that way. Think about the people who have most impacted your life. Were they the ones who screamed at you? Or were they the ones who spoke to you with calm wisdom? who made you feel safe enough to really hear them. A woman with magnetic feminine energy understands that her voice is powerful, so powerful that she doesn't need to raise it. Let me give you an example from everyday life. Imagine a mother with teenage children. Teenagers, as anyone who has raised them knows, can be challenging. They push boundaries. They test limits. They sometimes say hurtful things. Now imagine two different responses to a teenager who comes home late without calling. Response 1, where have you been? Do you have any idea how worried I was? You are so irresponsible. You never think about anyone but yourself. Give me your phone. You're grounded for a month. Response 2, I'm glad you're home safe. I was worried when I didn't hear from you. In this family, we communicate. We respect each other. Tomorrow, we need to talk about what happened and what the consequence will be. Tonight, get some rest. Which response is stronger? At first glance, the first one seems more powerful because it's loud and forceful. But the second response, that's soft power. The mother in the second example made her point clearly. She didn't excuse the behavior, she set a boundary. But she did it without losing control, without damaging the relationship, without modeling the very disrespect she was correcting. Her teenager will actually hear her. Her words will land differently. That's the power of soft strength. So how do you develop this in your own communication? First, before you speak, pause. Especially when emotions are high. When you're angry, hurt, or frustrated, take a breath before responding. That small pause gives you a chance to choose your words rather than react impulsively. You can still express your feelings. You can still be honest. But you can do it from a grounded place rather than a reactive place. Second, use statements instead of you. Accusations. Instead of, you never listen to me, try, I feel unheard when I share something important and it seems ignored. Instead of, you always let me down, try, was really hoping for support in that situation, and I felt disappointed. This is not about being fake or hiding your feelings. It's about expressing them in a way that opens conversation rather than closing it. Third, practice speaking slower and lower. When we're upset, our voice tends to get higher and faster. This actually reduces our power. Try consciously slowing down your speech and lowering your tone when you need to address something serious. You'll notice that people lean in to listen. Your words carry more weight. A woman with magnetic feminine energy doesn't need to shout because her presence speaks loudly. She knows that grace and strength can live in the same sentence. Sign number 4, you hold space for others without losing yourself. This is perhaps one of the most important signs, especially for women who have spent years caring for everyone else. Holding space for others means being present for their emotions, their struggles, their needs. It means listening without judgment. It means offering support and comfort. This is a beautiful feminine gift. The ability to nurture, to care, to be a safe place for people you love. But here's where many women get lost. They give so much space to others that they leave no room for themselves. They listen to everyone's problems, but have no one to talk to about their own. They carry everyone's emotions, but have no one helping them carry theirs. They make sure everyone is fed, comfortable, and cared for, but they themselves are starving, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And over time, this doesn't just drain you, it makes you resentful. It makes you bitter. It makes you feel invisible, even surrounded by people who claim to love you. That's not magnetic feminine energy. That's self-abandonment. A truly magnetic woman has learned a sacred balance. She can hold space for others without losing herself in the process. She can be generous without being depleted. She can be caring without being used. She can love deeply without forgetting that she also deserves love. Let me tell you about a woman I deeply admire. Her name is Priya. Priya is 47 years old. She's a caretaker by nature, always has been. She was the one her friends called when they were going through breakups. She was the one her siblings turned to when there were family conflicts. She was the one her colleagues came to when they needed advice. For many years, Priya wore this role like a badge of honor. I'm the strong one, she told herself. I'm the one who helps everyone. But by her early 40s, Priya was exhausted. She had given so much that she was running on empty. She had chronic health issues. She felt depressed. She realized one day that she had dozens of people who relied on her, but not a single person who really knew how she was truly feeling inside. That realization broke something open in her. Priya didn't stop being caring. That was part of who she was. But she learned to set limits. She started saying things like, I want to be there for you, but I'm going through something myself right now. Can we talk tomorrow instead? She started taking time for her own needs, not as an afterthought, but as a priority. She started asking for help, which was the hardest thing of all for her. And something beautiful happened. The people who truly loved her respected these boundaries. They stepped up. They started caring for her too. And the people who only wanted to take from her, they faded away. Priya's circle got smaller, but it got so much richer. She was no longer surrounded by people who needed her. She was surrounded by people who valued her. That's the difference. So how do you find this balance in your own life? First, check in with yourself regularly. Before you agree to help someone, before you take on another responsibility, before you offer yourself up, ask, do I have the capacity for this right now? Can I give this without depleting myself? If the answer is no, it's okay to say no. Saying no to one thing means saying yes to your own well-being. Second, practice receiving, not just giving. Many women are uncomfortable receiving help, compliments, or support. We deflect. We minimize. We say, oh, it's nothing. When someone does something nice for us, stop that. When someone offers to help you, accept it gracefully. When someone gives you a compliment, receive it with a simple thank you. When someone wants to care for you, let them. Receiving is not weakness. It's allowing the natural flow of give and take that healthy relationships require. Third, create boundaries around your emotional availability. You don't have to be available to everyone, all the time for every problem. You can love someone and still say, I need some time for myself this week. You can care about someone's situation and still choose not to carry it on your shoulders. Your empathy is a gift, but it's not unlimited. Protect it so you have enough left for yourself. A woman with magnetic feminine energy is generous with her love, but not careless with her energy. She knows that to truly care for others, she must first be full herself. Sign number 5, you honor your own needs without guilt. This sign builds on the last one, but it goes deeper. Because it's one thing to recognize that you have needs. It's another thing entirely to honor those needs without feeling guilty about it. So many women, especially women over 30, carry a deep guilt around their own needs. Guilt for wanting rest when there's still work to be done. Guilt for wanting alone time when your family wants your attention. Guilt for spending money on yourself when there are bills to pay. Guilt for saying no when you could have said yes. Guilt for putting yourself first ever. This guilt is not just uncomfortable, it's destructive. It keeps you small. It keeps you running on empty. It teaches the people around you that your needs don't matter. And eventually, it makes you lose touch with what you even need in the first place. A woman with magnetic feminine energy has made peace with her own needs. She doesn't apologize for them. She doesn't hide them. She doesn't sacrifice them for the comfort of everyone else. She understands that taking care of herself is not selfish, it's sacred. Let me ask you something. If your daughter, your sister, or your best friend came to you and said, I'm exhausted, I need rest, but I feel so guilty taking time for myself when everyone else needs me, what would you tell her? You would probably tell her that she deserves rest. that she can't pour from an empty cup, that the people who love her will understand. That taking care of herself makes her a better mother, wife, sister, friend, not a worse one. You would speak to her with compassion, so why don't you speak to yourself with that same compassion? Here's a story that might resonate with you. Fatima is 40 years old. She's a mother of 2 young children, a wife, and a full-time professional. Her days are long. Her responsibilities are heavy. Everyone in her life seems to need something from her constantly. For years, Fatima put herself last. Her children ate before she did. Her husband's needs came before her own. Her work deadlines took priority over her sleep. She hadn't been to the doctor in years. She hadn't read a book for pleasure in even longer. And she was proud of this in a way. She saw it as sacrifice. She saw it as good motherhood. She saw it as being a strong woman, but her body started sending her signals. She was always tired. She was irritable with the people she loved. She found herself crying for no reason. She felt like she was disappearing. One day, Fatima's mother said something that changed her. "My daughter, if you don't take care of yourself, who will be there to take care of them? A dead candle cannot light a room." Those words hit Fatima deeply. She started making small changes. She woke up 30 minutes before her children to have quiet time. She scheduled a monthly massage, something she'd always seen as a luxury. She started going to bed earlier instead of staying up to finish chores. She asked her husband to share more responsibilities at home. And here's what surprised her: nobody resented her for it. Her children adjusted. Her husband stepped up. Her work didn't fall apart. In fact, everyone around her benefited, because Fatima was no longer running on fumes. She was present. She was patient. She was herself again. So how do you practice honoring your needs without guilt? First, reframe rest as productivity. We live in a culture that glorifies business, but rest is not laziness. Rest is how you refuel so you can continue to give. Rest is an investment in your future capacity. When you rest, you are doing something valuable. Remember that. Second, start with small acts of self-care and notice that the world doesn't end. Take a long bath. Say no to one thing. Let the dishes wait until morning. Buy yourself flowers. Take a lunch break instead of working through it. Notice that when you honor your own needs, life continues. The guilt is lying to you. It's telling you that everything will fall apart if you're not constantly doing. That's not true. Third, stop explaining and apologizing for your needs. You don't have to justify why you need rest. You don't have to apologize for taking time for yourself. You can simply state it calmly. I'm taking the evening for myself, period. The more you apologize for your needs, the more you reinforce the idea that they're not valid. They are valid. You are valid. A woman with magnetic feminine energy treats herself as someone worth caring for. She fills her own cup first, not because she's selfish, but because she knows that a full cup overflows, blessing everyone around her. Sign number 6, you radiate warmth without performing. There's a difference between a woman who is warm and a woman who is performing warmth. You can feel it when you're around each person. A woman who is performing warmth smiles too much. She agrees too often. She says what she thinks you want to hear. She's working hard to be liked. There's an effort, a tension, a desperation underneath her friendliness. A woman who is genuinely warm, she's relaxed, she's authentic. She smiles when something genuinely delights her, not on command. She speaks truth gently, even when it's not what you want to hear. She's not trying to win your approval. She simply is who she is, and that realness makes you feel comfortable. That's magnetism. Performing is exhausting for you and for everyone around you. It creates a false version of yourself that you have to maintain. It attracts people who like the performance, not the real you. And eventually it crumbles because no one can perform forever. But genuine warmth, that's sustainable. That's magnetic. that draws people who love the real you, which is the only kind of love worth having. Why does this matter so much for women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s? Because by this point in life, you're probably tired of pretending. You've spent years adjusting yourself to fit what others wanted. At work, you became what your boss expected. At home, you became what your family needed. In relationships, you became what your partner seemed to want. And somewhere along the way, you may have lost touch with who you actually are. Magnetic feminine energy requires authenticity. You cannot fake your way to magnetism. You can only find it by being fully, unapologetically yourself. Let me share something personal. Years ago, I used to be a performer. Not on a stage, but in life. I would walk into a room and immediately scan for what was expected of me. With one group of people, I was loud and funny. With another group, I was quiet and agreeable. With my family, I was one person. With my colleagues, another. I thought I was being adaptable. I thought I was being smart. But really, I was exhausted. Because I was never just being, I was always managing, adjusting, performing. And here's what I didn't realize: people could sense it. They didn't know exactly what was off, but something felt off. My relationship stayed surface level because I was only showing them a surface version of myself. When I finally got tired of performing, when I finally decided to just be me, flaws and all, something shifted. Some people didn't like the real me. That was painful to accept. But the people who stayed, they stayed for real. Our connections deepened. I felt seen for the first time in years, and I felt lighter because I was no longer carrying the weight of 1,000 masks. So how do you cultivate genuine warmth instead of performed warmth? First, notice where you're performing. Pay attention to moments when you feel tense, fake, or like you're trying too hard. Those are signals that you've slipped into performance mode. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Usually, performance comes from fear, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. When you identify the fear, you can address it directly instead of masking it with performance. Second, practice being comfortable with silence and stillness. Performers fill every silence with words. They constantly try to entertain, impress, or please. But a woman with genuine warmth doesn't need to fill every moment. She can sit in comfortable silence. She can let a conversation breathe. She doesn't feel the need to prove herself every second. Third, let people see the real you, gradually and safely. You don't have to reveal everything to everyone immediately. But you can start being more honest about who you actually are. Share an unpopular opinion. Admit when you don't know something. Let people see you without makeup. Talk about your real struggles, not just your highlights. This is vulnerable. And vulnerability is magnetic because it's real. A woman with magnetic feminine energy doesn't perform because she has nothing to prove. She knows that her worth is not determined by others' approval. She is warm because that's who she is, not because she's trying to win anyone over. Sign number 7, you trust your own timing. This final sign is perhaps the most challenging one, especially in a world that's constantly telling you that you're behind. You're not married yet, you're behind. You don't have children, you're behind. You're not at a certain career level, you're behind. You haven't achieved this milestone by this age, you're behind. This message is everywhere, from social media, from family, from friends, from society. And it creates a constant anxiety, a constant pressure, a constant feeling that you should be somewhere other than where you are. But a woman with magnetic feminine energy has learned to trust her own timing. She understands that her life is not a race against anyone else. She knows that her path is unique, and therefore her timeline is unique. She doesn't compare her chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. She doesn't measure her worth by where she should be according to some arbitrary standard. She focuses on her own growth, her own journey, her own story. And that trust, that deep quiet trust in her own timing is deeply attractive. Why? Because a woman who is at peace with her timing is a woman who is at peace with herself. She's not rushing. She's not anxious. She's not desperate. She's present. And that presence is magnetic. Think about it from the other side. Imagine meeting someone who's constantly worried that their life isn't progressing fast enough. They're always looking at what they don't have. They're always stressed about the future. They can't enjoy today because they're too focused on what's missing. That energy is heavy to be around. Now imagine meeting someone who is fully present. They're content with where they are, even as they work toward where they're going. They can enjoy the moment. They're not in a rush. That energy is light. That energy is attractive. Let me tell you about a woman named Sophia. Sophia is 52 years old. She never married. She doesn't have children. For many years, this felt like a failure to her. She watched her friends get married, have children, build families. She felt left behind. She felt like something was wrong with her. But somewhere in her late 40s, Sophia made a decision. She decided to stop seeing her life as incomplete. She started appreciating what she had built: a successful career, deep friendships, meaningful travel experiences, freedom to pursue her passions. She realized that her life wasn't missing anything. It was just different. Different from what she expected, different from what others expected, but not less than. That shift changed everything. Sophia stopped apologizing for her life. She stopped explaining herself to people who questioned her choices. She stopped comparing herself to other women's paths. And interestingly, this is when Sophia became magnetic in a way she hadn't been before. People were drawn to her peace. Men were interested in her, not because she was chasing, but because she was complete. Whether or not she ever marries, Sophia is now living a beautiful life, not a life waiting to begin, a life that's already rich and full. So how do you learn to trust your own timing? First, stop comparing. I know this is easier said than done. Social media makes comparison constant. But every time you compare your life to someone else's, you're measuring your inside by their outside. You're seeing their highlight reel and comparing it to your behind the scenes. That comparison is never fair, and it always leaves you feeling lacking. Practice catching yourself when you're comparing and gently redirect your focus to your own journey. Second, celebrate where you are right now. Not where you want to be. Where you are, what have you accomplished? What have you survived? What have you learned? What beauty exists in your life today? Make a practice of gratitude, not as a way to avoid wanting more, but as a way to appreciate what already is. Third, trust that late doesn't mean never. So many women have found love in their 40s, 50s, even 60s. So many women have started new careers, written books, built businesses later in life than expected. So many women have bloomed in seasons they thought were meant for wilting. Your story is not over. Your best chapters may still be ahead. Trust the timing of your life, even when you can't see the whole picture. A woman with magnetic feminine energy doesn't rush because she trusts that what's meant for her is already making its way. She blooms in her own season, not anyone else's. Now, before I summarize these 7 signs, I want to take a moment to gently challenge some beliefs that might be holding you back. Maybe you were taught that femininity is weakness. That to be strong, you have to be hard. That to be successful, you have to suppress your softness. But that's a lie. True feminine energy is not weak. It's powerful in a different way. It's not soft because it lacks strength. It's soft because it's secure. It doesn't need to prove anything. Maybe you were taught that your needs don't matter, that a good woman sacrifices everything for everyone else, that wanting something for yourself is selfish. That's also a lie. Your needs matter. Your rest matters. Your dreams matter. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you shouldn't try. Maybe you were taught that your worth is determined by what you achieve, who you marry, what others think of you. That's another lie. Your worth is inherent. It exists because you exist. Nothing you do or don't do can add to it or subtract from it. You are already worthy of love, respect, and good things, not because you earned them, but because you are a human being deserving of dignity. Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe you've been rejected. Maybe you've made mistakes that you carry as shame. And maybe you've started to believe that you're damaged. That magnetic feminine energy is for other women, the ones who had easier lives, better families, fewer failures. That's the biggest lie of all. Your past does not disqualify you from an abundant future. The magnetic feminine energy I've described in this video is not about being perfect. It's about being whole. And wholeness doesn't mean you've never been broken. It means you've gathered your pieces and decided to keep becoming. You can start today, right now. From exactly where you are, the woman you want to become is not somewhere far away. She's already inside you, waiting to be seen, waiting to be nurtured, waiting to be expressed. Let her out. Let me briefly summarize the 7 signs we discussed today. Sign 1, you don't chase, you attract. You understand that desperation pushes away what you want, while wholeness draws it toward you. You focus on building a full life, and you trust that the right people will be drawn to your light. Sign 2, your peace is unshakable. You protect your inner calm like the treasure it is. Life still has storms, but you have learned to stay grounded beneath the waves. Sign 3, you speak with soft power. You don't need to be harsh to be heard. Your words carry weight because they're delivered with grace, strength, and genuine warmth. Sign 4, you hold space for others without losing yourself. You're generous with your care, but you've learned that pouring yourself completely empty helps no one, least of all you. Sign 5, you honor your own needs without guilt. You treat yourself as someone worth caring for. You rest without apology. You fill your own cup first so that you can overflow into the lives of others. Sign 6, you radiate warmth without performing. You've stopped trying to be what everyone wants you to be. You are authentically yourself, and that realness draws people in. Sign 7, you trust your own timing. You've stopped measuring your life against anyone else's timeline. You bloom in your own season, and you trust that what's meant for you is on its way. Now, I want to leave you with something important. If you watched this entire video and found yourself thinking, but I don't have these qualities, please hear me. These aren't things you either have or don't have. These are things you cultivate. They grow over time. They develop through practice, through intention, through small daily choices. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be in your journey. The very fact that you watched this video, that something in you was drawn to the idea of magnetic feminine energy, tells me that this energy is already stirring inside you. It wants to come out. It wants to grow. It wants to become your way of being. So don't be discouraged if you're not there yet. Be encouraged that you're on the path. Every small step matters. Every time you choose peace over chaos, that's growth. Every time you speak with kindness instead of harshness, that's growth. Every time you rest without guilt, set a boundary with love, or trust your timing instead of rushing, that's growth. You are becoming. And that's beautiful. I believe in you. I believe in the woman you're growing into. I believe that your best days are not behind you. They're ahead of you, waiting for you to step into them. You have light in you. Don't let anyone or anything dim it. You have strength in you. Don't let the world make you think you're weak. You have magnetism in you, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Go gently, my dear. Be patient with yourself. And trust the beautiful process of becoming the woman you were always meant to be. If this message resonated with your heart today, I'd be honored if you'd leave a like. It helps more women find this video. and they might need this message too. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, consider joining our community. I create content specifically for women who want to grow in their worth, their confidence, their grace, and their peace. And if you'd like to share something with me, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me which of these 7 signs spoke to you most. Which one do you feel called to work on? Which one do you already see growing in yourself? I read the comments, and your stories inspire me more than you know. Thank you for being here. Thank you for investing this time in yourself. That's not a small thing, it's a sign that you already have magnetic feminine energy beginning to bloom. Until next time, take care of yourself, protect your peace, and remember, you are already worthy of everything beautiful that life has to offer. I'll see you in the next video.